What is happening, everybody? All right, so in this video, I'm going to be talking you guys through some pitfalls you may wind up running into if you're swapping out wheel speed sensors on your modern Mopar. Whether or not you get a check engine light, one thing is for sure, your ABS light's going to come on, your traction control, or what is sometimes referred to as Mr. Squiggly, will light up, and you won't be able to make any adjustments to your traction control. That will typically signify a faulty either tone ring or a wheel speed sensor. Sometimes it'll be followed by a code, sometimes it won't. It'll just say ABS light up, but not say anything as far as an actual code. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of things that are going to help you along the way. Now, whether your code lights up or not, chances are it's going to be either a tone ring or a wheel speed sensor. But the first thing you need to remember is you cannot use anything other than a Mopar part number. Aftermarket parts absolutely won't work. I don't understand why. I want to show you this real quickly. If you can tell me the difference between these two connectors, which there really isn't any in terms of looks, and you're forgiven other than the fact that these two, one's dirty and one's not, if you were to see these, you would say that is the exact same sensor because it looks identical. There's no way to tell the two apart aside from a Mopar part number right there. So aside from that, they look the same, they install the same. In fact, the aftermarket sensor installs really well. The problem is that aftermarket sensor will not work with your car. I don't get it. I don't understand why an aftermarket sensor works, or let me rephrase that, why an aftermarket sensor won't work and only the part that comes from Dodge will. Anyway, if you go to your local parts store, and this is happening by the way, this is typically the part you're gonna get. Standard is a well-known aftermarket part supplier, and the ALS 292, that's gonna, or 892, whatever I said, 2892, reading everything backwards here. That's going to be the part number that you get. This is not going to work. I promise you it won't work. As a matter of fact, just so you know, I was logging this HP Tuner software. I don't know if you can see that highlighted area. I'm logging each individual wheel speed through this. One of them is RPM at the very top. 8,000 odd RPM. It's not going that fast, and no, we're not going 636 miles per hour. That's basically your default, and I qualified the fact that it actually was the left front wheel speed sensor that was failing because I did not get a code. I only had the ABS light and Mr. Squiggly going off. So I purchased, just went down to the local and went, okay, I just need a wheel speed sensor more than likely. Didn't think that it would be the hub, and grabbed one of these. Now I swap it out because it really doesn't take any time to swap out. And again, to swap them out, aside from getting the car, the tire off the ground and getting the tire off of the car, the only tools that you need are a 10 millimeter deep socket and one of these guys just to help get the plastic pin out of that fender liner. Other than that, you just reach in there, pop the thing off, use this thing to pop the clip off, and you're good to go. Or to loosen the clip, I should say. Swap that thing out, and guess what? That was the result right over here. It didn't fix the problem, so I thought, yeah, maybe it's just a bad sensor. Who knows? So I went and grabbed another one. Same thing. Second verse, same as the first. And it didn't fix the problem, obviously, because at the time, I'm thinking that I've got the right sensor. I'm pairing it up. I'm looking at it. They are identical visually. So then I thought, well, maybe it's the tone ring. So I swap out the hub. Now the hub's pretty good looking piece right here. It's kind of interesting though. That is basically your tone ring right there. This is what the sensor is looking at. In fact, it looks at it just like this in the assembly. And that is what tells that particular speed sensor how fast you're going. Just reads this tone ring. Thing is that tone ring is non-serviceable. This doesn't just pop off of here. Oh no, that's right folks. you gotta buy the whole hub. So I did. I went and got a new hub for the car, and it's super easy to put on. You got 3 bolts that hold this thing onto the car. 2 bolts take the caliper off. By the way, just when you get the caliper off, just basically remount the caliper. Instead of trying to find interesting ways to hang it, I just basically bolted the thing back onto the mounts. But much to my chagrin, that didn't fix the problem. It was only after getting a Mopar part number which the 68199987AC, that's going to be your part number. So that's going to be the part that you're going to need to fix your car. There's the other part of that barcode there in case you need it. Now the new hub, interestingly enough, my new hub had a little bit of the oil weeping out of it, but I'm not so much concerned about that. That's not uncommon with pre-assembled parts. I've noticed that there's a little bit of extra oil kind of seeps out. There's some oil that gets just around the thing. It'll come out during assembly. Keep an eye out on your hub after you've assembled it. If you notice a little bit of weeping, don't really freak out about it. If you see it on your rim though, if you see any of that oil that's in that hub, and this is actually, there you go. That's your, that's kind of the orientation that it'll sit in there. If you see anything weeping out of here onto your rim after a couple of weeks of driving, it just means that you might need to get a different hub because it's leaking. But again, I have seen these things, and I have seen parts like them weep just a little bit right after you get them. Again, don't freak out. It's not necessarily a sign that it's defective. It's just part of the manufacturing process. Keep an eye on it, drive it for a couple of weeks. If you see excessive or quite a bit of dripping onto your rim, then it's probably a bad hub. You have to get a new hub there. So anyway, wanted to give you guys this update. This has been kind of an interesting experience for me because I still can't tell you exactly what failed. I mean, I could now go back and put my hub in the car, the old hub, and if that fixed the problem, then it was the sensor, even though I didn't actually get a code for the sensor. I just got the Mr. Squiggly thing. Oh, by the way, before I forget, big thanks to Alex Pites over at Pites Performance, buddy of mine. I used to work there, and it's funny, I called him up and I said, dude, because I was able to tell exactly what wheel speed sensor was failing, or at least what side of the car the wheel speed was tripping these lights, but I don't have sophisticated enough software and technology to get in there and read it. And so I ran by there and ran by the shop and hooks it up. And the funny thing about it is that it pops right up. The code, which again didn't pop up, and I can't see on a code reader because now you're reading the ABS module itself. That's what's the thing that's freaking out. The ABS module, the code basically, I can't remember the exact code that it was, but what it read on the screen was incorrect part installed or something along those lines. So it didn't ever show up as any of the CELs or an MIL, I should say, in the either in the scanner or in the car's actual scanner. That MIL never came up. It's malfunction indicator light, by the way, is what MIL stands for. That never came up, but on the on his standalone reader, the reader that's a lot more sophisticated than anything that I own, it comes up and it absolutely was incorrect part installed, which again, you would be forgiven. I want to show you guys this one more time. I don't know if I can get up and close, but look at that. I mean, it is identical. The sensor, the length of it, there is nothing about either one of these things that would throw you off. Mounting points are identical. Look at that. All the way down the line, all the way down to the connector itself, which again, obviously is identical because I had them hooked up and was still frustrated by that situation. So if you go to your local, again, this part number is not going to work. You're going to need to get the Mopar part, and that will be this part number, where'd it go? Man, I am doing this so good. Here you go. This guy right here. That's going to be the part number you're going to need to get. Hopefully that helps you out. You don't end up trying to chase down a problem that is going to frustrate you forever because you just thought that you installed a brand new sensor and there's no way, and I installed a brand new hub and it's still showing the code and I don't understand. And this is, yeah, it's because you didn't use a Mopar part in your Mopar and now your Mopar don't work. So buy the Mopar parts. Your stuff will work great. That's a wrap. Adios.